It is Tuesday, the 31st of May 2022. The Ukraine operation is clearly going into one direction only, and that is a Russian win. But I don't want to talk about the war today. The thing that has been bothering me for a long time is the role that America is playing in all of these things. Since World War II, America has been constantly involved in wars all over the world. The problem that I have is that America established itself in the early 50s, 60s as the global superpower. And that position is basically everything that America is banking on. Now, what happened in Ukraine, the details everybody knows. But the reality is that America was itching for a fight with Russia, but not directly, because they were not prepared to let Americans die. They used the Ukrainians. The sad part is that the horrific things that is happening in North Africa and in the Middle East, all under management of the US, those things don't get traction in the media. But the Ukraine thing was all over the media. And the media tried to paint the Russians as the bad guys. The reality is, America is the bad guy. And Europe, the EU, allowed themselves to be used as pawns. Now Europe is paying the price. Years of good commercial relationships with Russia has advanced the European commercial and industrial operations as well as the Russians. Both parties were benefiting, and the US don't like that. They want to be the only one with a say. The EU, with the EC in Brussels, allowed themselves to be pushed into this mad war of attrition in commercial terms with Russia. And I said from day one, these sanctions are going to backfire. And it is backfiring. The European economy is crumbling. The European people are suffering. Energy prices are through the roof, as well as food prices, and there are scarcities. Now the media is trying to paint a new war on the TV screens of the so-called grain war, which is all nonsense. Putin has never been reluctant to supply grain. All he wants is to be paid for it. The Americans and the EU is trying to steal the last grain from Ukraine. I don't think the Russians are going to help them achieving that, but the Americans are pushing and pushing and pushing, and the EU are so weak they cannot push back. A guy that I follow from the Duran, Alex, he's got a pet name for Ursula von der Leyen. He calls her Ursula von der Crazy. Over the weekend, she did an interview and she made statements that blows your brain. She's trying to justify the madness of her oil sanctions against Russia, which she is not getting implemented because there is now resistance from out of the EU. Now she makes a statement that the EU must keep on buying Russian oil, otherwise Russia will sell it on the open market and make more money to war. What idiotic statement is that? The big thing is this: Europeans must look and listen at that crazy woman and then accept the fact that they selected her as their leader. This green thing is going to backfire severely. Yesterday, a guy posted on Twitter, he has saved 178 grams of carbon with his Lexus. What bullshit. One volcano somewhere on the globe gives one puff, and that carbon saving of that Lexus is neutralized for 1,000,000 years. Fossil fuels are what the world needs for energy. Instead of trying to be clever, why not invest the money and the effort in getting cleaner ways of using fossil fuels? There has been big steps forward on that. The coal power plants of today is a fraction of the pollution that it had 40, 50 years ago. Car engines are running cleaner. But no, they want this clean green deal. What they forget is they must adapt that slogan. It's going to be the clean green cold deal. The people in Europe is going to suffer if they don't have fuel for heat. I don't even want to talk about the disaster for the agriculture without fertilizers and things like that. But we have allowed the fringe crazy people to infest all decision-making organs. And they have got these dreams. But they sit there in front of the television and they tell you about the clean green deal, and they walk away from there, get into their cars, and they go back to their homes and they switch on their TVs and they switch on their heaters and they switch on their stoves, all driven by fossil fuels, but they've got a big mouth when they sit in front of the TV. Hypocrites. But in one of my previous Skidmarks, I have mentioned it, that the Western Empire is going to collapse. And it is clear that that empire is now collapsing. The things that they are doing is not sustainable. And the people is going to pay for that. It is my opinion that the only way out of this is a revolt similar to the French Revolution. The people must remove these elites from society and take control of their lives back. Because what we are seeing here is America is pushing the Europeans to maintain a war with Russia. And they don't care how many people will be killed or will die. So, we have to accept that the rule of America over the globe is over and it will never come back. There are some Americans that live in an illusion that America has the military might to enforce their will upon the globe. I've got news for them. Between Russia and China, there will only be a heap of smoke and ash of the US. And that is something that everybody must try and avoid. But the American people is allowing the new cons to push for a war with China now. I wonder how that is going to turn out.